I don't even know where to start. Sometimes it feels like I'm reading someone else's journal. Someone reckless. Someone brave. But every word stings like it's mine. Because it is. My name is Lena. I'm 17, and this story, the one I'm about to tell you, doesn't make me proud. But it's real. I grew up in a quiet little town in Ohio, the kind of place where people wave at you from their front porches, where Friday night football is sacred, and where secrets don't stay hidden for long. Except this one. Somehow, this one did. I spent a lot of time at my Uncle Dan's house when I was growing up. He and my aunt lived just a couple towns over, in a bigger house with a louder kitchen and a lot more laughter. My parents, especially my mom, Michelle, were always busy, always stressed. My dad kept mostly to himself. But at Uncle Dan's, there was life. Real life. And then there was Max. Max is Uncle Dan's younger brother. Technically my great-uncle's son, but that always sounded ridiculous. Max was just Max, 3 years older than me. I've known him since I was a kid, but somewhere between braces and late-night texting, he became something else. Something different. He had this way of walking into a room like he belonged there, like he didn't have to prove anything to anyone. He always called me troublemaker when I got mouthy, and when I was 14, I hated it. When I turned 16, I started to hope he'd never stop. That summer, the one before everything changed, I saw him again at a 4th of July cookout. He had just turned 20 and was home from his second year at community college. He looked older, not just in his face or the scruff on his jaw, but in the way he talked. Calmer, confident. We were sitting on the porch swing that night, the fireworks long over, fireflies dancing in the dark yard. He looked at me in that quiet way he does, like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. "You've grown up," he said finally. I laughed, awkward. "You make it sound weird." "No," he said, "just true." The way he looked at me then, I knew. Everything shifted. It didn't happen all at once. It wasn't some movie scene kiss in the rain. It was slow. Secret glances, late-night texts, inside jokes, a brush of the arm that lingered too long. We both knew what we were doing, but we didn't talk about it. Not at first. By the end of summer, we were sneaking off whenever we could. He'd drive me out to the state park or invite me over to his tiny apartment near campus. We didn't tell anyone, not our families, not our friends, especially not my best friend Jessica. She had always had a thing for Max. I think deep down, I knew, but I didn't care. I told myself this was real, that it mattered more. I remember the first time he kissed me. It was in his car, parked behind a grocery store after we'd been driving around aimlessly. The air smelled like fast food and summer rain. He looked at me for a long time before leaning in. "You sure?" he whispered. I nodded. That kiss burned through me. After that, there was no going back. One night, a few weeks later, I stayed at his apartment. It was small, just a mattress on the floor, a second-hand couch, pizza boxes stacked like architecture students' projects. But it felt like ours, like a space where we didn't have to explain ourselves. We watched a movie, something dumb and loud, but neither of us paid attention. His hand brushed mine. My heart was pounding. And then he turned to me, and everything in his face was serious. "I love you," he said. It was the first time. I didn't say it back right away. But I felt it. All of it. That night, we didn't plan anything. We didn't talk logistics. We just fell into it. It was clumsy and soft and overwhelming and perfect in its own broken way. I asked him if we should use something. He hesitated, then kissed me again. "I've got it under control," he whispered. "I promise." And I believed him. God, I wanted to believe him. Afterward, we lay there tangled together in the dark, the hum of his window fan the only sound. His hand was on my back, and his breath was warm against my neck. "You're mine," he said softly. "Only mine." And in that moment, I wanted to be, completely. For the next few weeks, we kept pretending like nothing had changed. I went back to school, started senior year. He went back to his part-time job and community college. We still texted every night, still met up whenever we could, still kept it all a secret. Every lie felt like a dare, every stolen kiss like a spark. I thought we had all the time in the world. I didn't know yet that my body had already changed, that something had already started growing inside me. Something silent and small and real. I didn't know that soon everything would collapse, that the truth would come crashing through the windows of my careful little world. But for now, we had each other. And I believed that was enough. I should have known sooner. The signs were there. Nausea in the mornings, this weird tightness in my chest, constant exhaustion. I kept telling myself it was stress, hormones, anything but what it really was. But deep down, I think I knew. The moment everything hit me was on a Thursday morning in late October. I was sitting in the back of my chemistry class, trying to focus on ionic compounds, and suddenly the room started spinning. My stomach twisted, and I had to bolt to the bathroom. I barely made it to the sink before I threw up. I looked at myself in the mirror afterward. My face was pale, my hands shaking. I whispered it to myself like it was a curse. "I'm pregnant." I skipped the rest of the day. I walked home in the cold, numb all over. As soon as I got through the door, I locked myself in the bathroom and took the one pregnancy test I'd been too scared to buy for weeks. I'd stolen it from a Walgreens the night before, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it on the way out. 2 pink lines, clear as day, bright, unforgiving. I don't remember crying. I just remember this weight dropping into my stomach like a stone. Like gravity had suddenly decided to double itself just for me. I didn't call Max right away. I didn't even know what to say. "Hey, remember how you said you had everything under control?" Felt a little too sarcastic for the moment. So I waited. I let the panic build like smoke behind a closed door. That night, I sat across from my mom at dinner and tried to act normal while she complained about a coworker, and my dad silently scrolled through his phone. I remember staring at the mashed potatoes and wondering what the hell I was going to do. I finally texted Max around midnight. "Me. We need to talk. It's serious." He called immediately. His voice was sleepy. "What's going on?" "I'm pregnant." Silence. For what felt like forever. Then, "Are you sure?" "Yes." Shit. That was it. Not, "I'm here." Not, "We'll figure it out." Just one word that wrapped the whole situation up in panic and fear and disappointment. We met the next day behind the community center, where no one would see us. He looked pale, tired, like he hadn't slept. "Lena, I thought I had it timed. You said it was safe." "You said you had it under control," I snapped. "I trusted you." He looked like he wanted to disappear. I didn't think this would happen. Neither did I. For the first time, I saw something crack in him. The confident, calm Max I'd fallen for wasn't standing in front of me anymore. This was someone else, scared, small, and I didn't know what to do with that. "I'll help," he said quietly. "Whatever you decide." But I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew I couldn't carry it alone. The first person I tried to talk to was Jessica. I hadn't told her about Max, not really, but I figured if anyone could help me sort through this, it'd be her. Big mistake. We met at our usual spot, the benches behind the school. I couldn't even get the full sentence out before she interrupted me. "Wait, Max? As in Max? Your uncle's brother?" I nodded, and her face twisted into something I'd never seen before. I can't believe you. You knew I liked him. And you just… What? Went behind my back? It wasn't like that, Jess. No, don't. You think being pregnant is going to make this okay? That I'll feel bad for you now? She walked away before I could say anything else. And just like that, I lost her too. School got harder. I couldn't focus. I was sick all the time. I'd sit in class trying to pretend like I was fine while panic hummed in the back of my brain like a second heartbeat. Teachers started noticing. My grades slipped. I stopped going to lunch with anyone. I was tired of lying, tired of hiding, tired of feeling like a mistake. Max tried. He really did. He checked in, bought me ginger tea, talked about maybe moving in together, in theory. But every time we talked, I felt the weight between us growing heavier, like this thing we created was already too big for us to hold. And then came the day I couldn't hide it anymore. My mom was doing laundry. She picked up one of my hoodies and held it out. Why does this smell like peppermint and vomit? I shrugged. I don't know, I've just been sick. She stared at me, then slowly set the hoodie down. Her eyes narrowed. You've been sick a lot lately. I froze. Then she said it. The words that cracked everything wide open. Lena, are you pregnant? And just like that, the lie collapsed. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. She saw it in my face. Her scream could have shattered glass. Get out. Go stay with your grandmother. I can't even look at you. I tried to explain, to apologize, but she wouldn't hear it. That night, I packed my bags while my dad stood silently in the hallway, arms crossed, not saying a word. I waited for him to speak, to tell her she was overreacting. But he didn't. He just watched me go. My grandmother's house smelled like lavender and old books. She lived alone in a small, creaky two-bedroom house on the edge of a quiet neighborhood in Columbus. Her name is Nancy, but everyone calls her Nana. She always wore knit cardigans and kept the porch light on even in the middle of the day. When I arrived with my duffel bag and swollen eyes, she didn't ask a lot of questions. She opened the door, looked me up and down, and said, "You look tired, sweetheart. Come in. I made stew." That was it. No judgment, no lectures, just warmth. Like a soft blanket I didn't realize I'd been freezing without. For the first few days, I slept. A lot. My body was still adjusting to the changes, and my mind was constantly buzzing, like I was trapped in some low-frequency static. Nana didn't push. She let me rest. She made toast with cinnamon sugar in the mornings and brought me ginger ale in the afternoons when I was too nauseous to move. But I knew it couldn't last forever. Eventually, she sat across from me at the kitchen table and folded her hands. "I'm not going to pretend this isn't hard," she said. "But you're not the first girl to go through this, and you won't be the last. What matters now is what you're going to do." "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't even know who I am anymore." She reached across the table and took my hand. Her palms were warm and dry. "You're still Lena. And that baby in you? That's not a punishment. It's a beginning." It wasn't what I expected to hear, but somehow it helped. I started online classes so I wouldn't fall too far behind in school. Nana helped me sign up for a free pregnancy clinic. I met with a counselor, had my first ultrasound. Seeing that little flicker, a heartbeat, on the screen, it made everything real. Terrifying. But real. I didn't tell Max at first. I needed space to breathe, to feel things without him in the room. But he didn't give up. He kept texting, calling, leaving voicemails I didn't have the courage to listen to. Until one day I came home and Nana handed me the phone. "He's been trying," she said simply. "Maybe you should hear him out." so I called. He picked up on the first ring. "Lena." My throat tightened. I almost hung up. But then he said, "I'm moving to Columbus." "What?" "I talked to my boss. I can transfer to the company's branch near you. I found a cheap place to stay. I want to be there. For you. For the baby." I didn't say anything. My heart was beating too loud. "I know I messed up," he added. "But I'm trying. I'm not running from this. I want us to figure it out." And somehow I believed him. When he came down the next weekend, Nana made tea and grilled cheese and watched him like a hawk. But after lunch, when he offered to help her with a leak under the sink, she gave me a tiny nod. Her version of approval. We started seeing each other again. This time, it felt different. Less like sneaking around and more like building something. He came to my doctor's appointments. He brought baby name books and rubbed my back when I couldn't sleep. We talked about renting a place together when things settled. We still fought sometimes. We were scared, young, in way over our heads. But we were trying. One night, lying on the couch with his hand on my stomach, he whispered, "Do you think we can do this?" I looked at him. Really looked at him. The boy I'd fallen for. The man he was slowly becoming. "Yes," I said. "But not alone." He nodded. "Then we won't be." We moved into a one-bedroom apartment in a quiet neighborhood on the edge of Columbus. Nothing fancy. Beige carpets, second-hand furniture from Facebook Marketplace, a slightly cracked fridge that made a buzzing noise when it got cold. But it was ours. There was something powerful about putting my clothes into a new drawer, about brushing my teeth beside Max in a tiny bathroom, about falling asleep to the sound of his breathing instead of my own racing thoughts. We weren't playing house. We were trying to build one, even if the walls were a little crooked. I was 6.5 months pregnant by then. The baby was kicking more. I started recognizing patterns. She was most active around 11 p.m., which I jokingly blamed on Max's love of late-night Taco Bell. He swore she danced every time I said his name. We chose the name June, not for the month, but for what it felt like. Warm, unexpected, beautiful. I was still finishing school online. Max worked nights at a warehouse, loading boxes, and sometimes came home so exhausted I found him asleep on the floor. But he never complained. He'd drop his bag, kiss my stomach, and ask, "How's our girl?" We started going to birthing classes together. At first, we were the youngest couple in the room by a long shot. People looked at us sideways. But the instructor didn't treat us any differently, and by the second session, Max was raising his hand more than anyone else. He wanted to get it right. One night, after a long class on diapering, I was standing at the kitchen sink washing dishes when he wrapped his arms around me from behind and rested his chin on my shoulder. "I'm scared," he said quietly. I put down the sponge. "Me too." "What if we mess her up?" "We probably will," I said. "A little." We both laughed. Tired, honest laughter. Then I turned and looked up at him. "But we're gonna love her so much," I added. "That's got to count for something." And it did. It still does. My mother hadn't spoken to me since the day she kicked me out. No calls, no messages, just silence. But one afternoon in late February, Nana came by with a small box and an envelope. "She left this on my porch," she said. Inside the box was a folded baby blanket, the one I'd used when I was a newborn, pale yellow with little ducks. There was no note, just the envelope, with my name written in my mother's handwriting. The letter inside wasn't long. It said, "Lena, I don't understand everything you've done. I probably never will, but I can't pretend you're not my daughter. I hope one day you'll forgive me. Love, Mom." I cried for hours after reading it. Not because everything was fixed, but because it meant something was still there. Some thread, thin and frayed but unbroken. Max sat beside me the whole time, silent, holding my hand. "Do you want her at the birth?" he asked gently. I shook my head. Not yet, but maybe one day. Weeks passed. My belly grew, our apartment filled with baby things, a used crib from Craigslist, a rocking chair that Max refinished himself, tiny clothes in soft pinks and greens. June's world was forming around her before she even arrived. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and just walk around the living room, hands on my stomach, listening to the hum of the city outside. I wasn't scared the way I used to be. I was still young, still figuring things out. But I wasn't alone. We were a family, not perfect, but real. And then one morning in early April, the sky still gray from winter's last breath, I felt it. The first contraction. It wasn't dramatic. No water breaking on the kitchen floor, just a slow, deep ache in my back, and a sense that something had shifted. Max was asleep beside me, and I shook his shoulder. "I think it's time," I whispered. His eyes snapped open. "Time?" I nodded. Everything after that was a blur of movement and breath. The drive to the hospital, nurses, monitors, pain like lightning. Max holding my hand so tight I thought it might break, whispering, "You're doing so good, Lena. So good." And then, finally, June, tiny, loud, beautiful. She looked up at us with this wrinkled, squinty face like she was already judging the world. I laughed and cried at the same time. Max cut the cord. They placed her on my chest, and everything in me went still. This was it. The moment that changed everything, again. She was ours. We took her home 2 days later, wrapped in that pale yellow blanket my mom had saved. Nana met us at the apartment with a pot of soup and tears in her eyes. Max barely let her go for the first week. He sang to her off-key, called her bug and starfish, took photos like he was afraid she'd disappear. And me? I finally understood what Nana meant. This wasn't a punishment. It was a beginning. And for the first time since that bathroom floor, I looked in the mirror and didn't see a ruined girl. I saw a mother.